Great.
He is not in their pocket at all.
Oh, what is this source saying about, war with Iran, for example?
They're desperate to try to get it to happen any way they can.
Yeah.
And the National Intelligence Estimate was a leak to basically torpedo that from the highest level.
Exactly.
That's in there. There's all kinds of stuff in there. They're terrified about Pakistan, terrified that they're going to get a nuclear bomb, and they're covering all that up in the media because it's such a scary thing for them.
Mm-hmm.
They're terrified about the economy. It's hanging on by a thread. It could go at any moment. They say that the next thing that's going to happen is the credit card crisis.
Right.
That basically the credit card industry is actually just as bad as the housing industry.
Yep.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
And people are defaulting on their repayments all
Yep.
the time.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right.
That's actually why they're offering these incentives to file your tax returns, because so many people are not filing.
Yeah.
They can't even begin to go after non-filers because there's way too many.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. They're not paying their houses. Why would they pay taxes either?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Right. So what we have is a source that says, American money is only good for the next 2 years. We've got secret witnesses coming forward saying eventually there's civil war for America. Basically, we're just talking about the state of the economy and the fact that the banks are failing right now. And come on, we want to have a positive view of the future. And in a sense, this is the dissolution of America, which could lead to a more positive future.
That's what I'm saying, right? I mean, you do have to consider the fact that there is the contraction of the birth canal in the process of giving birth to a baby. And it's painful, and you scream, and it hurts. And we're going to see the dismantling of many of the Illuminati corporations. I really think that media monarchy, oligopoly doesn't work. That's why Time Warner is desperate to get rid of AOL. Look at the viewership numbers of broadcast television. It's plummeting like crazy.
Yep.
The writer's strike did not help. Now there's a director's strike and there's an actor's strike coming up. I mean, it's hanging on by a thread. Same thing with films. They keep projecting what kind of money they're going to make off a given film based on its budget and so forth. And you have to make 250% more than the film costs in order to even get any money back from it if you go with a studio deal. So films aren't making any money. You can write off all those profits as actually expenses. There's all kinds of creative accounting. And one of the other things, actually this is a really interesting point too, that Voice of the White House said, very controversial. The reason why the media did not pursue Enron more than they did is because once the media started looking at their own companies, they found that they were all doing the same stuff that Enron was doing. Enron was just the one that happened to get caught.
I heard that. Yeah.
And so as a result of that, but look at what's happened. I mean, come on. The United States government has bailed out, with our money, $200 billion of liquidity back into the banks, essentially rewarding the behavior for stealing from the American people by giving them these deceptive loans where your optimism says, well, yeah, okay, for the first 3 years, I'll have these great monthly payments, and then I'll just refinance and just get another loan so that when the payments go up, I won't have to worry about it. Well, guess what? Three years later, you can't refinance, and you're stuck into this payment, which is now like half of your monthly income.
Yeah, it's like the cartoon character running off the cliff and not realizing that they're going to fall.
Well, think about the comedy of this, right? The banks are ripping people off. They mess up so badly that they're literally about to go completely dead. And then they get the people's money to reward the fact that they went dead because they stole the people's money.
Yeah.
So they get double dipping.
Yeah. Yep. And all they're doing is buying time, and there's not a lot of time left to buy. There's not a lot of time left on the market.
And the people's money is drying up as well. I mean, that's what Ben Fulford is talking about, which is basically, America is bankrupt. The Japanese are the only ones that have the $5 trillion that is, in reserve, right? And that's what we're looking at in the future is like, where is the money going to come from?
And let's not forget, too, that if you're dealing with the European Illuminati, the so-called Rothschild faction, which everybody knows about the Rothschilds now, it's no secret. The Rothschild side has planned all along for something they call the revealing. And this gets into the Savali material I was telling you about over dinner. Savali is the name of a woman who is a whistleblower who was a mid-level Illuminati working at what they call a regional level.
This is SVALI.
SVALI. A lot of that material has gone off the net. You have to go to archive.org to find it, but it is all in there. Savali is the most comprehensive whistleblower ever to come through. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages of documentation. Very specific, naming names, all this stuff. And what she says is that they have had a plan. Originally it was to culminate around the year 2020, something like that. Possibly later, but the idea being that they want to reveal to the world that they have been the ones pulling the strings. They want to come out in the open and be welcomed as liberators, just like how the U.S. government thought they'd go into Iraq with the shock and awe campaign and then be welcomed as liberators. Now, this revealing is an orchestrated plan which involves the manipulated financial collapse of the world economy first, followed by the bankers themselves appearing on the scene with the financial solution. We will bail you out. But in so doing, they also suddenly pull the ripcord and reveal this subtext that has been in most of the movies that you've seen and loved throughout your life, where they have been secretly installing all the different aspects of their spiritual philosophy. And they believe it's a philosophy of enlightenment. They believe that when you learn to behave this way, that you become enlightened. Their perspective is that God is not here, because they've been doing all the shenanigans they've been pulling for thousands of years, and nobody has stopped them. They continue to do it.
Yeah.
So they don't believe there's a God, other than the one they've created.
This matches closely with what we've heard from Leo Zagami. By the time you're watching this, our Leo Zagami interview will be published.
That's very exciting, because nobody's filmed him before.
Yeah, right. It's such a labyrinthine story. It's extremely hard to summarize it. We've been warned off parts of this by someone who's contacted us privately with very good intentions. It's where the string trail goes. We have to follow this. We're not going to follow this exclusively.
Leo talks about them grooming what is, in essence, an antichrist.
Absolutely.
That is already alive on the planet right now, he says. And they are basically going to be steering this individual who is corruptible and therefore not really a candidate for, being a savior of the planet in any way. And yet they're grooming this person as if they would be a type of a savior.
This is a great opportunity to share material that I've had conversation with Dan Burrish about, which I have transcribed, I have not published yet. Now you have to understand the Rothschild European side of the Illuminati is